Greetings. Today we begin the third major section of our study on the spiritual sacrifices of the believer priest, and that is the area of service. We're going to study today giving ourselves totally to God. Remember, we're basically using 1 Peter 2:5-9 for the overarching text for the whole series, where we're taught that we're to be believer priests, offering up spiritual sacrifices which are acceptable to God. The basic meaning of service in the Bible is that of one ministering to another. There are three major uses of the word. One is the service of a servant to his master. The second is the service of a soldier in an army. And the third is the service of a worshiper toward God, which is the one we're primarily focusing on here. But I submit to you that each one of these involve love as the motive and loyalty as the method of expressing that love by means of service. And again, I want to stress that the basis of true, valid, and rewardable service to God is our meditation upon God and our worship toward God as preceding factors. You see, until our meditation and worship are what they ought to be, our service will never be what it ought to be. We mentioned previously, but we remind now, we remain on this earth after salvation for one reason, and that is to serve. Our spirits have been saved unto future glorification. Our minds are to be being sanctified in this present time. Therefore, service is the purpose of our present life of sanctification. Sanctification is simply the outworking in the deeds of the body, that which has already happened in our spirit and our minds by the renewing of God's word. This is service. So today we want to look at giving ourselves totally to God. Giving ourselves totally to God. I guess the classic passage from God's word on this point would be Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, where it says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Now I want us to examine Romans 12:1, a phrase or a clause at a time, if you please. The first and main clause is, brethren, therefore I'm exhorting or encouraging you all. You see, the word beseech means to admonish, to encourage, or to exhort. It was used in classical Greek of exhorting troops who are about to go into battle. Here, Paul is inspired to make the request on the basis of his apostolic authority, by or because of the mercies of God. That is, when one considers from where and to where the divine mercies have brought him. Second, then, is the prepositional phrase, because of the mercies of God. One should be mindful to yield himself to God, to present himself to God to be used however God seems appropriate. And the third is the object clause. It is the infinitive to present, which is a technical term for the presentation of a sacrifice by the offerer to the priest, and it literally means to place beside for any purpose. We should consider an example from the life of Jesus himself in the book of Luke chapter 2, verses 22 through 24, where it says, And when the days of her purification according to the law of Moses were accomplished, they, Mary and Joseph, brought him, Jesus, to Jerusalem, that is from Bethlehem, to present him to the Lord. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law, a pair of turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons. Note, this was the presentation of God's firstborn, his only begotten Son, to himself. Now let's go back and read the original instructions in the book of Exodus chapter 13, verses 1 through 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn. Whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moses said to the people, Remember this day in which ye came out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by the strength of the hand of the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This month came ye out, this day ye came out in the month Abib. Verse 5 says, And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leaven be seen with thee, neither shall there be any leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, This is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be a sign unto thee upon thy hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year. And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, as he sware unto thee and to thy fathers to give it thee. Verse 12 says, Thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast, the males shall be the Lord's.